Hi guys, it's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel. It's been a hot minute since I've recorded a video, but here I am. The last month has been a month of transition. I had to move. I had to do training to be an RA. I had to help my sister move. I had to go home. I had to come back here. So just like a lot of transition, a lot of socializing too. I've met like 4 YouTubers since the last time I recorded a video, which has been very fun. So that's been awesome. But yeah, I'm getting back in the routine, starting classes, recording YouTube videos, and I'm kind of just excited to have essentially the same schedule for like the next few months, so I kind of just like know where I'll be and what I'm doing. So that's a little update on me. Also just procrastinating per usual. I'm kind of like the type of procrastinator where I'm like, if I don't start working by 8 a.m., then oh well, I'll just try tomorrow. The whole day is gone. At 8 a.m. That's the kind of procrastinator I am. Anyway, let's just get into this video. So today I'm going to be talking about influencers and labor. I've kind of wanted to talk about this for a minute, but I wasn't really sure how to frame it so that it could be a large enough topic for a whole video. Like sometimes I think of video ideas and I'm like, this is not a YouTube video. This is a tweet, but I don't have a Twitter, so I can't even do that. Anyway, I think this topic has legs of some sort, so let's dive into it. Also, it's like 8 p.m. and I'm drinking cold brew. Anyway, I've become increasingly interested in labor and content creation / influencing as it's begun to directly impact me. In the past couple of years, I've been able to make some money from creating content on the internet. I remember being really excited when I first found out that you could make money on YouTube because I always really wanted stuff. And according to my parents, everything I wanted was too expensive. So I attempted to take matters into my own hands and tried to find ways to make money before I could get a real job where you physically work somewhere and get taxes taken out of your paycheck. I'm pretty sure I signed up for the YouTube Partner Program when I was like 14 and heard you could make money from it. At the time, the rules for joining the program were a much lower barrier to entry than they are now. Currently, you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time to monetize your channel. Anyway, I remember being able to look at my AdSense earnings, which by the way were literal pennies, but I couldn't actually get paid any of those pennies until I made a minimum of $100. I was salty because I didn't think it would be even remotely possible for me to ever make $100 on YouTube, let alone fathom that in the future it could actually be a significant source of income for me. Obviously, now my channel has gotten way more views and subscribers, and I've been able to make some money from it, which I'm incredibly grateful for. Not enough money to justify dropping out of college or to live on full time, but it has become a good old-fashioned side hustle. Long-winded personal anecdote aside, this video really isn't about me specifically, but an emerging social class of people that I'm kind of a part of, the influencer. We're not traditionally professional class. You don't need a degree or to pass any exams to be an influencer. You kind of just need a strange penchant for talking into the void until people start listening to you. In terms of economic class, I'd say that most content creators are working class and that we sell our labor, lives, and even personalities for a wage. Some people don't even consider this kind of work to be real work at all because for many people, it simply started out as a hobby. It's a weird hybrid between being an entertainer and a business owner and monetizing the essence of your being. So there are millions of content creators, influencers, internet personalities, what have you, all around the world who do a lot of different things to make money online. Some are Instagram baddies, TikTok dancers, video essayists, or gamers. The point is that they make money from the content they post on the internet. I know that even the verbiage of content creator versus influencer can be a point of contention amongst both creators and viewers. I feel like influencer is more heavily associated with young women than the term content creator, and at least from what I've seen, when it does have a negative connotation, it's associated with being superficial, having a big ego, and getting paid a lot of money to look hot on Instagram. I'm going to use influencer and content creator interchangeably, but even within that, in this video, I'm really talking about lifestyle vloggers, because to me, they're like the quintessential internet personality who kind of gets paid to be themselves. The predecessors to today's lifestyle vloggers are the beauty gurus of the 2010s. And when I say beauty guru, I don't mean the channels that were solely just about makeup run by makeup artists, but the channels run by teenage girls with a considerable amount of disposable income. They post things like get ready with me's, hauls, and outfit of the weeks. Their different personalities and quirks were important to their channels, but at this time, their channels were a platform to talk about their interests, which were mostly makeup and fashion. Over time, several of these channels transitioned to what is now known as lifestyle content. Lifestyle content is such a vague term, I barely even know how to define it, but it's kind of one of those things where you know it when you see it. Lifestyle and beauty guru content has a lot of overlap, but I would say that the appeal of lifestyle content is how well someone can present the beautifulness of their general life in a YouTube video, while beauty guru content was more product and tutorial focused, and personality and editing style mattered a bit less. The lifestyle content of today is usually minimally scripted, real, relatable, and personal while still being extremely aspirational. Most of the relatability comes from the creator's perspective on the world or their personality, while the aspirational aspect lies in their looks and the aesthetics of their surroundings. Unsurprisingly, the most popular lifestyle bloggers are thin, white, able-bodied, and conventionally attractive in terms of Eurocentric beauty standards. This is important to note because as full-time lifestyle bloggers/influencers, the intersection of their work as in their online life and their life as in their real life is quite inextricably linked, and also these factors of their identity are very inextricably linked within their work. I mean, you could say someone who's a lawyer, their thinness and their whiteness and their able-bodiedness, yeah, you could say that has nothing to do with them being able to be a lawyer. Most of the time it does, but for these visible aspects of their identity, like lifestyle bloggers and influencers, I feel like that directly contributes to how successful you can be, these attributes that you have no choice or control over. It's important to acknowledge that becoming a full-time lifestyle blogger involves a lot of luck and privilege. It's easier to succeed in real life and on the internet when you're thin, white, born into an upper middle class family, and have enough disposable income to buy trendy clothes, live in a nice place, go to college, and travel. I feel like I say this in all my videos related to whatever internet topic I'm talking about, but I think it is very important to reiterate because becoming famous and successful from the internet is not fully democratized unless you're white and conventionally attractive. For the most part, it's really not that simple to just become rich and famous from showing your life on the internet. Many of these creators started vlogging or posting videos on YouTube for fun, but as their channels grew, it became a sizable source of income for them during their teen years. A lot of YouTubers in this category will say that they didn't even realize that they could make money when they first started their channels, usually because it was before the days of YouTubers becoming multimillionaires. I'm sure CPMs and rates for brand deals were also a lot lower a few years ago compared to now because of how fast the platform has grown. So when you didn't even know you could make money from this and you're creating videos for fun, when you get an AdSense paycheck for $100, it's really exciting and can motivate you to make even more content, because who doesn't like getting rewarded for something that they do for free anyway? I've noticed that when successful YouTubers in this category are asked for advice on starting a channel, a very common theme is do it for the right reasons. Make videos because you want to and because you have fun with it. Make videos that you want to see. Make videos because you're passionate about it. I do think this is reasonable advice because for most people, it can take years to get monetized on YouTube, and being monetized doesn't even mean much until you can consistently start making hundreds or thousands of dollars each month. Anyway, the point is, many YouTubers in this space emphasize that posting on YouTube was their passion project or hobby before they ever considered making money from it. They frame it as if passion is requisite to be successful. But what is passion? Merriam-Webster defines passion as a strong liking or desire for or devotion to some activity, object, or concept. I've mostly heard passion used in the context of college and careers. When you're applying to college, the admissions officers want to know what you're passionate about. And when you actually get there, common career advice is follow your passion. Many students talk about how they don't want a boring desk job. They want to do something that they're passionate about. And sentiments like do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life abound. Of course, it's important to acknowledge that this perspective comes from a place of privilege, which is why I think it's so popular amongst students and the college educated, because sometimes a degree can afford you the luxury of choice. But believe it or not, for most of human history, what you did for work wasn't intertwined with your identity or personal brand. It was understood that you'd sell your labor in the marketplace to support yourself and your family, but it didn't necessarily define you, and you sure weren't expected to be passionate about working on an assembly line. In his Atlantic essay, The Religion of Workism is Making Americans Miserable, Derek Thompson writes, "In the past century, the American conception of work has shifted from jobs to careers to calling, from necessity to status to meaning. In an agrarian or early manufacturing economy where tens of millions of people perform similar routinized tasks, there are no delusions about the higher purpose of, say, planting corn or screwing bolts. It's just a job." So this is where the lifestyle blogger comes in again. While being a lifestyle blogger is technically just a job, it is more often treated as an integral aspect of one's identity, because usually that person started doing it for fun, and relative to other jobs, the work seems especially enjoyable and easy. The notion that you'll be more satisfied and successful if your job aligns with pre-existing passions is widespread, so monetizing a hobby or passion project is idealized, and that becomes a lot of people's dream job. Of course, this sounds really exciting, especially if you hate your current job, but I do think that when you monetize your hobby, especially if your hobby is filming your everyday life, it can feel like the only thing you do is work. I think the most interesting catch-22 of being a full-time lifestyle vlogger slash influencer is the fact that what drew people to you in the first place, your relatability, is lost when you pursue content creation full-time. Every lifestyle blogger has a layer of aspiration to their content before they even become successful, which makes their lives so appealing in the first place. But most of these full-time lifestyle creators at some point had a normal job or were full-time students, which is what made their content relatable. It's not easy to balance consistent content creation and another full-time responsibility. It can take several hours to edit videos, and there's even more work involved when you start doing brand deals. It's understandable that part-time creators abandon full-time jobs or don't apply to them after college, because being a lifestyle influencer can be incredibly lucrative, and why not strike while the iron is hot? While the dollar signs indicate that pursuing content creation full-time is the way to go, after a while, some viewers feel betrayed because the creator has changed or they're not relatable anymore. Full-time content creators aren't obligated to be in class at a certain time or in an office for most of the day, and it can feel disillusioning to see someone who you once saw yourself in suddenly get to do nothing all day, but try to make their life look somewhat interesting and entertaining and relatable. And it can be difficult to come across as all these things without seeming completely out of touch or boring. So I feel like a lot of influencers overcompensate with productivity content. It's this weird brand of hustle culture, but make it pink, where self-care equals productivity, but the self-care is like facials and boutique workout classes and green juices. Therefore, productivity equals buying products and services that optimize one's body and beauty. I think this has become so prevalent in lifestyle vloggers' videos. One, because all these productive slash self-care things can double as content for vlogs, and two, as an influencer, looking beautiful is a huge part of the job. I think we can all agree that this kind of labor is far from how the average worker spends their time on the clock. While many people exert energy serving others, influencers get to consider things like doing their nails or taking pictures for Instagram work because it is content. Of course, not all lifestyle bloggers do nothing all day, but with enough outsourcing, it can get to that point. If you have a manager, agent, video editor, and don't really make videos besides vlogs, there isn't much left for you to do but simply pick up the camera, press record, and try to make your life look interesting and relatable. Like I mentioned earlier, editing is usually what takes the most amount of time, but it is the least shown work task because it's kind of boring to watch and perhaps a bit too meta. Unfortunately though, because I think many lifestyle bloggers don't really show this work, it leads many people to believe that they do nothing all day. I do feel like I've watched several full-time lifestyle bloggers try to find purpose and routine in arbitrary productivity goals to sort of justify that they're hard workers and deserve the fruits in influencing career of boards like free trips, free clothes, and incredibly lucrative brand deals. However, some influencers get to the point where they realize how unfulfilled they are by this kind of lifestyle, not to mention the downsides like your paycheck relying on views, likes, and people's opinions of you. It's not too far from the alternate universe portrayed in Black Mirror's Nosedive episode, in which one's likability, measured by a social ranking system, could directly impact one's economic status. Being a full-time blogger is like being the content of your content. People solely watch to see you living your life. I think this is why some influencers decide to create a brand or be business owners, obviously because they kind of just have a large audience willing to buy whatever they recommend. But even if they are already making a ton of money, they might choose to engage in this entrepreneurship or some other structured way of living, not just because they don't find being a full-time influencer satisfying, but because it will improve their content by making it relatable again. I find this pretty interesting because it's almost like some of these people can afford to work very, very few hours, but then they're like, oh shit, I'm not working a real 9-to-5 job like everyone else, not even really like everyone else, honestly. So they decide to seek out more work. I think this is why it's so interesting to be this kind of creator because, what does working hard really mean? Is it posting more content in terms of quantity or making it qualitatively better by making it more entertaining or more real? It's interesting because I think we're so used to the belief that your only contribution to the world is what you produce. And what lifestyle bloggers produce, small chunks of content for people to nibble on throughout the day, can seem extremely ephemeral given the nature of social media. Content is easily digestible and discarded after it's first consumed. It's really different from being an author or an artist where you make one thing every few years. It's you make stuff every single day. So I think sometimes the lifestyle blogger's endless chase for increasing online status in the forms of likes, views, and followers might just be a quest for concreteness. Said concreteness isn't necessarily a physical thing that you can hold like a YouTube plaque, but the validation that influencing is in fact real work. Like I said before, lifestyle blogging is so intertwined with one's self and personal life because that is the content. Consequently, this disguises the fact that documenting your everyday life is labor. In her essay, In the Name of Love, Maya Takemitsu details why a passion-driven, do-what-you-love work ideal can be so toxic. And it reminded me of how vlogging/influencing is treated and talked about. She writes, in masking the very exploitative mechanisms of labor that it fuels, do what you love is in fact the most perfect ideological tool of capitalism. It shunts aside the labor of others and disguises our own labor to ourselves. It hides the fact that if we acknowledged all our work as work, we could set appropriate limits for it, demanding fair compensation and humane schedules that allow for family and leisure time. Even if you're a full-time blogger, filming your leisure time itself is still working. Is it much more enjoyable than most people's work? Probably, but is it still work? Yes, and as privileged and out-of-touch influencers may seem, I don't think it helps anyone to categorize what they do as non-work simply because it's easy. This brings me to my final thoughts on the creator economy, which went from cottage industry to investment gold rush in the past decade. The creator economy has seen a record $1.3 billion in funding in 2021 alone. The term refers to the independent businesses and side hustles launched by self-employed individuals who make money off of their knowledge, skills, or following. Being a content creator as a career wouldn't be possible without YouTube because it was the first social media platform that enabled you to make money from simply posting. Until recently, no other major social media platforms have done that. And even still, AdSense revenue and brand deals aren't a given, so creators have turned to more direct revenue streams where fans, not companies, pay them for the content they make. Honestly, more accurately, like the middle class of creators, I suppose, kind of turn to these more direct revenue streams because things like AdSense and brand revenues aren't a given, but if you are like in the really like top 1% of creators, companies are really chasing after you, and AdSense revenue can be very abundant. It's not like the creators of the world with like tens of millions to hundreds of millions of followers. I think services like Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, and the like have had a net positive impact on creators. They provide a relatively consistent stream of income without the pressure to perform for an algorithm. You only have to impress the people who actually want to watch you. Of course, to get to that point though, you need to succeed on a mainstream platform that often values clicks over the actual creator or content. The rhetoric surrounding the creator economy is a bit quixotic. It's supposedly all about empowering creators, but it sort of resembles the gig economy, which also made promises about empowerment and freedom to work whenever you want, but left workers who use gig work as their primary source of income financially fragile. Kyle Chayka of The New Yorker writes, "Participants in the creator economy are still precarious workers relying on the whims of corporations for their livelihoods. Much like an Uber driver or 2010's Instagram influencer, the creator is responsible for her own marketing, healthcare, and tax contributions. She makes money for the platform that hosts her without receiving the legal and financial protections of employee status or stock options typically given to the platform's engineers, designers, and managers." On a larger existential level, my main qualm with the rise of the creator economy is that it feels like the self is the final frontier of capitalism. With the Industrial Revolution came the concept of workers selling a chunk of their time for a wage. In her best-selling book, How to Do Nothing, Jenny Odell notes that Marxist theorist Franco Bifo Berardi ties the defeat of labor movements in the 80s to the idea that we should all be entrepreneurs. Berardi writes, "In the global digital network, labor is transformed into small parcels of nervous energy picked up by the recombining machine. The workers are deprived of every individual consistency. Strictly speaking, the workers no longer exist. Their time exists, their time is there, permanently available to connect, to produce in exchange for a temporary salary." I think this really excellently summarizes what is so unnerving about what the creator economy could become. Everything about one's existence can be quantified and exchanged for a price. And the market doesn't care what is sold as long as it's profitable. We've gone from feudal serfs to being overworked in factories to 9-to-5s to side hustles to 24/7s. I know it seems incredibly annoying to hear well-off influencers complain and or humble brag about how much or how hard they work. It can feel out of touch given how easy it seems and how much they are compensated. But again, in the name of love, Maya Takemitsu reminds us, emotionally satisfying work is still work, and acknowledging it as such doesn't undermine it in any way. Refusing to acknowledge it, on the other hand, opens the door to the most vicious exploitation and harms all workers. So basically, the point of this video was all to say influencing is real work. So in the end, it was a tweet, actually. But honestly, I wanted to talk about this because I have always felt very weird and salty about how easy it seemed for young white women to get paid to exist on the internet for what I once considered doing nothing, aka being an influencer. And while a lot of these people are incredibly privileged, it's like, damn, well, they are also workers, and under capitalism, all workers are exploited to a degree because you are never actually being paid the full value of your labor because whoever is paying you needs to make a profit. Obviously, levels of exploitation are very different for different workers, Many, probably including influencers, may not even consider themselves to be exploited because they can live very comfortably with the wages they receive. But writing this video and talking it out has made me realize that it's important to acknowledge this kind of work as real work, because I think it's only going to get more common and harder for these kinds of workers to draw the line between working as an influencer and simply existing. And a lot of content creators in this category already measure their time in terms of opportunity cost, because every moment could potentially be content or spent working on content. Because it's a job with no defined hours and it's totally reliant on you. I do think it's important to make people, especially young people, aware of the somewhat darker underbelly to this kind of work. I feel like the option of just working like a normal amount of hours, like having an 8-hour workday, and then having free time to do whatever you want, has been lost to the glamorization of the side hustle, aka monetizing your hobby, and then the idealization of turning that into your full-time job. And then work-life balance can go out the window because now you're making money from your passion project full-time. And are you even really working? Yes, you are. Anyway, I feel like I just keep on saying the same thing, but I hope that maybe you get the point by now. Would love to hear your thoughts, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!